Dr. Offit, the female sterilization claims wrapped up with the COVID vaccine. I mean, this is truly fodder for widespread panic. And I think we're starting to see it. So what do you say to this kind of misinformation that creates what I'd like to call the perfect storm in the media?
Well, I think it's fine for people to raise questions about vaccines. I think you should be skeptical of anything you put into your body, including vaccines. But for example, in this case, the HPV vaccine the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine is claimed to cause infertility or miscarriages, and it's just simply wrong. I think if people are amenable to hearing data, amenable to logic and reason, then I think you can talk them out of it.
I would encourage people when they make this or any decision about a vaccine, about a treatment, about a prevention, to ask themselves 4 questions. What is the risk of doing it? So let's say, what is the risk of getting a vaccine? And you answer that question with the available data from the clinical trials. What's the risk of getting it? What's the risk of not getting it? Yes. What is the benefit of getting it? And what's the benefit of not getting it? And we know there are a lot of unknowns in science. Any doctor who says they know it all is probably, you should find another doctor. But we are about a year into our relationship with this new virus. Okay, there's a lot we don't know. But what we do know is that right now, the risk of death for all comers in the United States is around 1 in 1,000. It's actually a little higher than that. It's about 1 in 985. That is a risk of death of COVID-19. Okay, so any risk, you talk about a risk of a severe allergic reaction, 1 in 90,000. When I made that decision for myself, it was very easy. I went with the risk of death due to COVID of 1 in 1,000. That is way more likely to me than a risk of 1 in 90,000 of getting an allergic reaction. And that's how I would encourage people. Ask those 4 questions, and oftentimes that will lead you in the right direction.
Amen, Jen. Amen to that.
And Dr. Offit, clinical trials have a history of excluding pregnant women. So what data do you have that suggests that the COVID vaccine is safe for that important group, pregnant women?
Right, that's true. I mean, in the Pfizer trial, there were 23 women who were pregnant that either got vaccine or placebo. In the Moderna trial, there were 13 women who were pregnant who either got vaccine or placebo. There were actually 2 cases of miscarriage. Both, interesting, were in the placebo group. What you do know, so this gets back to exactly what Dr. Ashland was saying, what you do know is that women who are pregnant, who are infected with SARS-CoV-2, who get COVID-19 disease, are more likely to suffer severe disease than women of the same age who aren't pregnant. You know that. You know that there's a lot of preclinical data in experimental animals that this vaccine, this mRNA vaccine, does not affect the unborn. And you know that you really can't think of any theoretical reason for why this particular lipid nanoparticle, which encases mRNA, would ever really cross the placenta and do harm. So that's what you know. And I give credit to the CDC because we don't have those data. The CDC usually says it's contraindicated. Don't give it because we don't have data. But in this case, they've taken a different stance. They basically said a pregnant woman could reasonably make that choice. I think that's good. I think it's good for pregnant women, and I'm glad they were willing to do that.
And Paul, what about the concern regarding potential birth defects down the line as a result of COVID vaccine and developing COVID when you're pregnant?
Well, again, there's no reason to suspect that. I mean, you now have a virus, this bat coronavirus, that's made its debut in the human population in November 2019. We have a lot of evidence over the past year plus that people who are infected with SARS-CoV-2, that when they're pregnant, for example, that they don't deliver babies with birth defects. So you know that this natural virus, the wild type virus, doesn't cause birth defects. Therefore, there's no reason to believe that the vaccine would do that. When you launch a vaccine program, it's never when do you know everything. You never know everything. The question is, when do you know enough? I mean, you know enough clearly now, based on evidence we have with natural infection, based on evidence that we have now with the vaccine, that the vaccine's clearly a benefit and that its benefits outweigh what at the moment, frankly, are just theoretical risks.